What is up, guys, gals, and non-binary pals? My name is Naomi. Welcome to House of Miscellania. Today I'm coming at you with a WIP chat. WIP stands for work in progress, and I'm going to chat with you for about an hour. At the end, I draw a tarot card and give us a thought for the week, but for now I'm going to put these aside. We'll talk about those when they become relevant. For right now, during Black History Month, I will be working on my Black History Month kit. But let me tell you about my tools first. This is my beautiful Satura pen from Diamond Pen Pal. Get focused on that. What you doing? There we go. This is from Diamond Pen Pal. It is based on the Satura diamond painting by Margaret Morales. And in my multi-placer here, I will be using Winter Dreams ... putty from Butterfly Effectwares. Diamond Pen Pal and Butterfly Effectwares, you can find both of them on Etsy. Along with, in my single placer, I have Ghost from Diamond Painting Daily. This is their little symbol that you're going to look for, also on Etsy. And then I'm just using a little tray here from Mystic Makers. It also has a stopper, which I don't have in it right now because I don't need a stopper when I'm putting diamonds in and out of it. But this is from Mystic Makers, and you can also find them over on Etsy. And please pay no attention to my dry-ass fingers. Ugh, it's terrible, you guys. I've been using hand lotions, and it's just... it's winter. What are you going to do? Now, the kit that I am working on here is called A Cup of Sunshine by Geneva Bowers, and she is a Black artist, which is how we've decided to celebrate Black History Month. But is she not just gorgeous? Oh my gosh. And actually, I had a little bit of a topic that I wanted to talk about today in relation to this kit. A couple of things, actually, but I'll get into that in a little bit. Anyways, how's your week been? My week has been, it's been all right. I had a chat with my oldest, Aurora is her name, and she is making some plans for when she finishes her 5th year at college. Right now, she's actually graduated college, but she is spending this year teaching. And I think she's kind of decided that teaching is sort of the track she might want to take. Initially, she wanted to do something with music and therapy, like being a musical therapist, but she really would like to work with like underprivileged children. And really, you don't see musical therapists working with anything other than, like, you know, private school kids or even kids who have private educations. And typically that's not really the underprivileged set. So she was talking to me about her plans for actually, instead of moving to her dad's, which was what she had spoken about. I talked about it in a WIP chat. It's been a while ago now, but she, instead of going north over by where her dad lives, where he moved to, she's actually thinking that she wants to stay in the area and live with a friend of hers that I'm actually a godmother to, and assist her with childcare because she is a licensed daycare person, and then work on getting some practical kind of experience in the area. And then her boyfriend, Arturo is his name, is planning on, you know, attending grad school. He's just kind of working on where he wants that to be and what exactly he wants his, you know, final major to be at grad school. And so they, I think, have decided that the closer that they stick to Madison, because I live in Wisconsin, the better their opportunities are going to be. And I 100% agree that their opportunities are not going to be moving north into Wisconsin. They're better to stay somewhere near a metropolitan, especially if, you know, what he wants to do is some form of study for psychology purposes. I know that he's very interested in the effects of psilocybins on patients with mental health issues, and, you know, all of that kind of studying and things can be done very easily at our university hospitals. And they're very much like research hospitals, really. Like, there's kids on their residencies or things like that. I say kids, adult kids on their residencies, where they're learning how to do a lot of different specialties with regard to doctoring and whatnot. So he really wants to pursue, I think, either some sort of a researching type degree where it concerns psychology, or possibly being a psychiatrist. So I just think that their opportunities are going to be better served by being somewhere closer to a metropolitan, rather than moving way the hell up north in the middle of Nowheresville and, you know, trying to do it that way. But I've kind of stayed out of things, mostly because, you know, my daughter is an adult. She's 24 years old now, and doesn't even seem possible. She'll be 25 in September this year. And so I want to treat her like a 25-year-old. She's not a kid. She doesn't need, you know, she's been doing it on her own in college and whatever for a long time now. And while I want to be supportive, and I try to be supportive, I'm trying not to push her in any direction, one that seems like at all selfish, because as much as, yes, I'd love for her to be around and to be here, it's not about that. It's about the best opportunities for them, because they've got to try to build a life of their own. And then for those who, you know, chat with me on Discord and things like that, my son's significant other, who is staying with us, he recently got a job. He's working at a Subway, which is awesome. And, you know, we're attempting to help teach them a little bit about, you know, life on your own, but while living with your parents, and trying to foster some responsibilities with that. And I think that, you know, it's all growing pains, right? Especially when you're an adult person who is living with your parents, and there's rules that are different, or treatment that's different. It's different. And so, you know, we're just figuring it all out, right? But it's been pretty good as far as that goes, and, you know, working through any of the growing pains that kind of arrive with that sort of thing. And it's been pretty awesome. On my last WIP and Chat, I talked a lot about Black History Month and kind of my experience with regard to understanding color. And I felt very good about where that all went, where it was going, all of that. And I have been working on this beautiful, beautiful kit from Geneva Bowers from Diamond Art Club. And you're seeing like a glare right there, her beautiful, beautiful skin. And honestly, I have to say, yes, we're early into 2025, but I have a feeling that this kit is going to be hands down one of my favorites for the year. I have a sneaking suspicion, and there's a couple of reasons why, and it was actually part of what I wanted to talk about for this particular WIP and Chat. As you guys know, I talk a lot about mental health on here, and I talk about my experiences with regard to different things like addiction and mental health, because I am a recovering addict. I have about, well, let's see, we're going into 2025, so I'll hit, God willing, higher power willing, goddess willing, whatever you want to call it, I'll hit 6 years of sobriety in July, and I don't see any reason why I wouldn't, but listen, life's a mystery, right? Well, that being said, there's lots of other things that I deal with that I talk about, one of which is talking about autism. And like, I don't want to say my struggles with autism, because that's not the correct word, because I don't feel like I struggle with autism necessarily. It's something that I've had my whole life, and as a woman, especially with autism, you learn a lot about masking and things like that. Today I'm not going to talk about autism per se. Maybe an offshoot, I suppose. I'll talk a little bit about an offshoot of, or maybe a symptom of, or something. I want to talk about this painting, first of all, and some experiences with it. And then I want to talk about the other thing that I want to talk about. So this kit, there's a lot of reasons. Whoa, Beans just shut the gate when he laid down. We have a baby gate on the stairs that I usually keep the door open. He kind of goes up and down if he feels like it. It keeps him from barking at nothing and whatever. Well, we keep the gate open, and sometimes if it's only partially open and he lays down next to the stairs, he'll like slam the gate closed. So if that's what you heard, that's what you heard. So this painting, I absolutely love this painting. I had a hard time choosing between this and another one, not for any particular reason, except for the other one is called Shelter, and it has, you know what, I'll try to remember to pop up a picture right here and show you what that one looks like. Now, if you look at it, it looks like a lot of paintings that I already own, except for she's a person of color with fish around her instead of being just a regular old person, any person with fish around them. I love fish. I have lots of portraits. I have a lot of portraits of people with fish around them, or fish people, or mermaids, whatever. And so I thought, okay, no, let's not do another lady with fish. Let's go ahead and do something different, something new, and do this one instead. Purchase this one, because I only had enough money to buy one. I had a lovely friend who, thank you again to Miss Jody, that got for me a $25 gift card for Diamond Art Club, and it got me just to where I needed to be able to get one kit, and this was the one that I chose. And I really, like, what was the deciding factor was definitely the fact that these colors are so intense. Now, let me move. I'm going to put these last couple on here for this particular symbol. Yeah, that's all. And I want to show you some of these colors on here, because it will kind of lead into what I want to talk about. I just got to move some things out of the way, move my containers, so that I can really show you like what this beautiful girl looks like. Now, I'm going to move my tarot cards. There we go. I don't want to knock anything down. I've got a precarious tower happening over there. Okay. Now, this. All right. So, the first thing that I'm showing you is how absolutely colorful this piece is. The colors are phenomenal, okay? And absolutely adore what I've got going. I'm just about now to the halfway point, having hit the cup of sunshine, which is, you know, this beautiful teacup full of sunshine, but the colors, okay. Now, I don't know if you can see, I have like major goosebumps up my arm. I have a neurological issue. I don't know how to call it an issue. It's a neurological condition. That's the word. A neurological condition called synesthesia. And so, like, the goosebumps that I have all up and down my arms is because when I look at the colors on this canvas, I experience them via taste. It's strange. I don't really know how to explain it. So I pulled up some information on the Google machine, because the Google machine can tell us so many things. And I wanted to, first of all, identify what synesthesia is. And then I wanted to talk about my experiences with synesthesia, what it means in my life, how like, this is probably my favorite part right here. Oh, there, like, look at it, it's crazy. Goosebumps. There and here, this part here is so affecting. Wow, it's amazing. So what is synesthesia? Synesthesia is a neurological condition, according to the Google machine, in which stimulation of one sensory or cognitive pathway leads to involuntary experiences in another. In other words, people with synesthesia, they can experience a blending of the senses, which is what I experience, where you can see sounds, or you taste words, or you feel colors, or you taste colors, or you hear colors, or just it's a blending of the senses. And there's a lot of different ways that people experience synesthesia. Now, for instance, when I look at this painting and these colors, for me, it's like tasting fruity pebbles, or a gorgeous silky, brightly flavored custard, or the whipped, like a meringue or something, a very sweet and even tart flavor. When I look at these colors, I actually experience that feeling at the back of your mouth that you get when you experience like a tang or an acidity or whatever. I get that from this painting, these colors. When I paint it, when I look at it, this is what I experience. And I had, honestly, when I was younger, I was so afraid to talk to a doctor or a specialist or whatever about what I was experiencing, because I didn't want them to think like, oh my God, she's nuts. Like, what the hell is she talking about? That's not a real thing. And I never really spoke on it, because when I was younger, probably about 10, 11, no, it was probably 9 or 10, because I wasn't in middle school yet. And I remember, sorry, I had to take a drink. I was in class, and the teacher was explaining something, and she kept using a word to explain whatever she was explaining. And I remembered that the word made me very sick to my stomach. And I think I've talked about it with a few people. I don't tend to share what that word is because as I've gotten older, like, people can be really terrible and they think there's no way that this is real. So they will say the word repeatedly. The word actually makes me physically sick. Like, I will throw up, pardon me, when I hear it, or even if I read it, it makes me nauseated, because when I hear the word, I immediately experience a taste in my mouth, a sensation on my skin, and I couldn't explain what that was for the longest time. And I know I've spoken about synesthesia on WIP and chats in the past, but there's a lot of new subscribers since then, so I thought, you know what? Let me talk about my experiences. Maybe there's somebody out there who had never heard of something like this, and you'll understand what I mean when I kind of go through the different ways that people can experience synesthesia. Maybe you are experiencing synesthesia and you didn't even know it. But there was a specific word that when I heard it, or when I hear it, or when I read it or see it, it really makes me nauseated. It gives me the sensation of like bugs on my skin. Even talking about it makes me slightly ill, even though, like, nobody is saying the word, I'm thinking of the word, and then, yeah, it's bad. That smell from, like, when you forget about laundry in the dryer, or in the washer for like a week or something, and they're wet, like that smell, I get that taste in my mouth. It's really bad. It's really, really bad. And it's not a singular experience. There are other words that cause me to experience different, sensations, and it's just something neurological that causes this to happen. There are good words too. There's not just words that are negative. There are words that are positive, like the word coupon. The word coupon to me feels like the sensation of going down a slide, like coupon. I can't explain it. If you know, you know. If you experience things like this as well, then you completely understand what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you're probably like, this lady is nuts. When I brought it up to my therapist, I thought, okay, and this is the part where he tells me it's time for me to go see the men in the white coats and never to see my family again. But he explained to me that synesthesia is not uncommon, especially with its comorbidities along with autism. So, that being said, I also have like a lot of tactile issues where there are certain touches that I can't touch because it immediately is like reviling, which is also something to do with autism. It's kind of wrapped up in that, but it isn't just the tactile. It's also like I'll get a specific, sound that comes along with it, like the feeling and sound of cotton in between my fingers makes me, like, it gives me all of the heebies and the jeebies just down the line. Okay, well, so like I said, synesthesia is a neurological condition, and there are different ways that people can experience synesthesia. Some experience one or all of these. There are people who experience, it's called grapheme color synesthesia, where letters and numbers are perceived as having specific colors. Like, for instance, for me, the letter A is pretty much always red. The number 2 is always green. Why? I don't know. I can't explain to you why that's the case, but it's the case. That's just how it is. Certain numbers have colors, letters have colors. This is one form that I do experience. Back up. There is chromesthesia. Chromesthesia is where sounds trigger the perception of colors, shapes, or textures, where like hearing a piano note might evoke a flash of purple. I completely and utterly understand this because listening to classical music is like, when I close my eyes, is like watching a light show almost. Like a whole mass of color happens based on certain notes. Lexical gustatory synesthesia is where words or names evoke specific tastes. Like the word table might taste like chocolate. And for me, it also can have to do with a sensation. And then like the word that I was talking about earlier that can taste very foul, there are words that taste amazing too. There's also mirror touch synesthesia. Mirror touch synesthesia. That is where feeling sensations on one's own body when you see someone else being touched. So if someone was to lightly touch on someone else's arm, maybe you get the shivers from that because you feel like somebody is touching your arm. This is not one that I experience. That would freak me out, I think, a little bit. There's number form synesthesia, and that is where numbers appear in a specific spatial pattern in the mind. This is not one that I experience. There's ordinal linguistic personification, where numbers, letters, or days of the week are associated with personalities or genders. Like, to me, Wednesday has always felt like a masculine day. I don't know why Wednesday is male. I don't think that it's my association with the fact that Wednesday is like Odin's day, but Wednesday has always felt male to me. And then, the letter T is a male letter, whereas the letter Q is a female letter. The letter P is a female letter. Why is it those things? I don't know. I really don't know. But the thing is, and again, because I don't really know how best to explain it, I went to the Google machine and asked the Google machine to break it down for me, right? Because I can tell you what it is. Can I explain what it is and why it is? No, I can't. But according to the Google machine, for synesthetes, the associations are automatic and consistent over time, which is true for me. They do not have to try to experience these sensations. It just happens. Some describe it as an enhancement of perception, while others may find it overwhelming. And at times, it really can be overwhelming. It isn't something that I asked for. It isn't something that I have to concentrate on. It's just, it is what it is. And though it isn't technically considered a disorder, it is relatively rare, and it occurs in about 2 to 4% of the population. That's not a lot. Scientists believe that it results from increased cross-communication between sensory regions of the brain. And when it comes down to it, I don't know where these crosses come from. I don't know why it happens. I couldn't explain all of that, and honestly, I'm not going to use an entire WIP and chat to try and explain it. If you want to do some more research, I highly recommend looking into it. Is it a very interesting condition? It is. Is it made up? No, I don't believe I'm making it up. But I suppose if I was, then, that you wouldn't believe me anyways, right? It's strange. I know it's strange and it probably sounds crazy, and I'm just sort of hoping that there's somebody out there who also experiences these things, and that I can, that one, that you can figure out like, hey, I am not a lunatic. And B, that, you know, they can go, this is actually a real thing. And no, she's not crazy. Because I'm sure that there are probably people out there that are like, that's not a real thing. If I heard this and I was not experiencing it, right? If I heard somebody explaining this to me, I'd be like, you are full of shit. And then I would probably, you know, like roll my eye. Well, I probably wouldn't tell them to their face they were full of shit. I would probably just like, oh, that's cool. Weird. You know, whatever. And then slowly edge my way out of the conversation. So sorry if that's you and you are trying to slowly edge your way out of the conversation. It's totally fine. I don't talk about it a lot, mostly because, one, like I said, I would think I was crazy. If I heard somebody explaining this, I'd be like, sure you do. Yeah, absolutely. But as I am already experiencing it, I would have to, you know, say to a person like, dude, I totally get it. I understand. Because really for the longest time, I thought that I was probably just making it up in my head and that it wasn't real, and, you know, or it was something to do with autism or whatever. And I just sort of wrote it off. Because when it comes to diamond painting, it can make it very interesting, right? Like seeing these colors and like having a flavor to them or a taste to all of this painting is really fun. I have enjoyed it, and I mean, what the hell? I just put that on the totally wrong color. I have really enjoyed it, and it does make the experience a lot, I don't want to say better, just different. It makes the experience different, and I appreciate it differently because of it. And it doesn't happen necessarily with every painting, or at the least, I don't necessarily experience it in that way every time. It's not something that like I stop and like need to point out or whatever. Like, all right, Naomi, let's talk about what this painting tastes like or whatever. It's just, in this instance, the feelings were so strong that I felt like I should bring it up because I haven't spoken about it in a while. It's been a hot minute. And those of you who are, you know, just newer subscribers or whatever, and you're getting to know me a little bit throughout my WIP and chats, maybe you didn't go back and listen to the old ones, which is totally fine. You don't have to do that. I'm probably just a train wreck in the beginning anyways, to be honest, full of insecurities, which I still completely have, but I just don't talk about them as often. With regard to the channel, you don't have to go back and listen, but I did at least want to bring it up because it is something that is unique about me, and if you're learning about me, then it's something to know, because I do experience life a little bit differently. It also, according to the Google machine, now I don't know that this is always true, but according to the Google machine, synesthesia can often enhance creativity and perception, which is why a lot of artists, musicians, and writers have reported experiencing it. And as a musician, I play the violin. I haven't in a long time. I also sing. Music is so affecting because of what I see or feel and experience in my body when singing or listening to music. It's astounding at times how much the music feels, and it can feel right, or it can feel wrong, or it can feel just like a whole different experience just based on the notes. But it's also, in a way, I feel like while it is a unique way of processing information in my brain, right? I feel like it can be really overwhelming because it can be really overstimulating, especially where there's a lot of sensory input. I think part of why I did not like New York City, for instance, was not just to do with the heat and the crowds, but the lights on Times Square were really overwhelming. There was a lot going on, sound-wise. I mean, just so much happening, and it was a lot of overload. I don't mind larger cities generally. I think it was just too large of a city for me, maybe, and too much happening, and too much noise, and too much color and sound and everything. Too much everything. It was just really too much of everything. But I think that the other issue can be that as a synesthete, I feel like because sensory experiences are deeply connected, that I feel emotions more intensely. Like a song might evoke not just emotions, but colors and textures, and it makes that experience even more immersive. And so at times when there's certain words being used in a conversation or whatever, there could be extra negative connotation about that conversation or whatever because of certain words used in it, which have certain meanings or, flavors or textures or senses in my body, which sounds like a very weird way to describe it. I'm sure. I don't know, but there are several ways that you can test to see if you have synesthesia, if you're not sure. And that can be simple self-tests to more scientific methods, obviously used in research. But one of the key traits is that the associations remain consistent over time. So if you think you might have synesthesia, you could try like assigning colors to letters or numbers, if you're a grapheme color synesthete, and then, or describing the colors you see when you hear certain sounds, and then wait a few weeks and then take that test again without looking at your previous answers. And if your associations are always the same, it could indicate a form of synesthesia. There's also various online tools. There is a synesthesia battery. It's on synesthete.org, and it's a scientifically developed test which it checks your consistency in color, letter, and color number associations. There's also Project Synesthesia tests on that particular website that you could take a look at there if you're interested. There's a Stroop effect test for synesthesia. So I'm looking for my color. There we go. So that's an adaptation of the traditional Stroop test used to measure cognitive interference with regard to people who have cognitive disabilities like Alzheimer's, dementia, etc. The Stroop test is used for those. It's also sometimes used with addicts or alcoholics to test their cognitive function. But this one in particular is an adaptation of it. And if a synesthete sees the letter A as red, but it's displayed in blue, they may take longer to identify the actual color because of the automatic synesthetic response. There's reaction time tests. There's a mirror touch synesthesia test. Like, there are ways that you can look into it, but go to projectsynesthete.org. Let me look it up real quick. I had it up on the screen. Synesthete.org. And you can kind of look and see for yourself if some of this sounds like maybe a person you know and they think that they're just nuts or whatever. You might be able to be a hero and hop in and say, you know what? I think I know what it is. I learned it from this girl who diamond paints. And go to synesthete.org. And again, if that sounds all crazy to you, I apologize. It definitely, I'm not trying to sound like a crazy person, because I'm telling you, like, if I heard the same thing, I'd be like, sure, cool. This lady's nuts and probably don't want to listen to her anymore. I hope that's not the case. I really hope that's not the case. But that all being said, a lot of weird things going on with me, but it does definitely put this painting, it rockets it into space for one of my very favorite experiences in diamond painting, especially for the beginning of this year. I think that when I do finish this one, if I finish this one as my next one, I think this is painting number 7 for the year already. So, you know, at least I have a basis for comparison. I'm not just talking out my booty about, you know, something being my favorite and it's only my second painting or something. I really have a feeling that this one it's gonna score strong throughout the year, especially when I look back at it during my year in review. I'm gonna be like, oh my god, it tastes good. You're all gonna know what I'm talking about, right? You're gonna be like, ah, right, she was talking about that. But all of that being said, I am glad that you stuck around. If you stuck around this long, let me go ahead, even though I went over talking about synesthesia, I apologize. Let me go ahead and I'm going to draw a tarot card and we're going to take a look at that and see what our thought for the week is. I am experiencing a little something. It's not something that I necessarily would like to talk about on a WIP and chat. It's just something going on in my personal life with a relationship, and I'm kind of hoping that it will give me some insight on maybe how to approach an issue with someone in my life that I'm just feeling a little bit of a disconnect with, I guess, and see if it's got a good answer for me on what I can do, because I'm struggling. It doesn't help to have autism and then have issues in a relationship with a person, whether that's a romantic one, a friendship, or whatever, because I already have some issues with social cues, and so it could be that there are no issues. I'm 100% making it up in my own head, and maybe this card will tell me that. So before I do my next color here, let me go ahead, and I've already shuffled the cards, so I've got them in order. This is the Fairies Oracle by Brian Froud, does the art, and the text is by Jessica Macbeth. I already shuffled these, and the card that was meant for me is on top. It just about jumped out of this deck at me, so let's see what the first card is. We have a butt crack. We have a butt crack. Just a little butt crack. It is Undressing of a Salad. Okay. And you look at, there's so much happening. There's so much happening in here. This one looks very suspicious. These others look like they've got something planned. Undressing of a Salad is number 31. And it is right side up. Number 31. There we are. Undressing of a Salad. The keywords are balance, avoiding extremes, achieving the impossible, and being impossible. Okay. There are things are in motion, and the outcome is impossible to predict. A cool head is required to deal with this, as is a readiness to jump into whatever direction seems appropriate. Exercise cool judgment while staying ready for the unpredictable. Sudden changes of fortune may appear good or bad, but they are in flux and can be rechanneled if necessary. Develop poise, stay calm. You can come out a winner here, but it is likely to take concentrated effort. Use power with delicacy and discretion. Okay? Now, to me, in my particular situation, and yours may be different, but as our thought for the week, whatever's going on in your life and in my life, it says the outcome is impossible to predict, but a cool head is required to deal with it. And you just got to be ready to jump in whatever direction you need to jump in. Exercise cool judgment while staying ready for the unpredictable, and sudden changes of fortune may appear good or bad, but they are in flux and can be rechanneled. So bad fortune can become good fortune if you channel things in the right direction. Develop poise, stay calm. You can come out a winner here, but it is likely to take concentrated effort. Ugh, I'm terrible at concentrated effort. Use power with delicacy and discretion. So if your normal response would be to strong arm somebody in a situation, or like an argument, a fight, which I don't feel like I do that, I over explain. That's part of my problem, is like I feel like sometimes when I feel someone is mad at me, I start to explain everything. And then I think that the person probably might or could possibly believe that I'm trying to make excuses, or that I'm somehow trying to talk my way out of something, or back myself out of a corner or whatever. And really what it is like I feel their misunderstanding happening, and then I'm trying to get ahead of that and explain why I'm doing what I'm doing or what I'm doing, and it can come off, I think, as defensive. And so where normally I might, power through a conversation and take it over with trying to explain myself, because I always have felt at a disadvantage in conversation, that either A, I manipulate my way out by masking this sort of this feigned sense of empathy or whatever, or I start to get defensive because I can't understand why they can't understand me and what I'm trying to say, instead of taking what I am saying, the actual words. And it can be hard, because I'm the kind of person who I generally say whatever the hell is on my mind, sometimes without regard for how it is going to make a person feel. And this is saying to exercise caution, that a situation can be better or it can be worse. It really depends on where I channel my energy, and then I can be ready, or to ready myself at the drop of a hat to, switch direction real fast, change track. And I'm trying to be adaptable in my life. I'm really attempting to channel adaptability and to not become rigid in my ways of thinking or my ways of being or seeing or feeling. I'm really trying to see it from all points of view. And then there are others whose point of view is that they are always right. And it doesn't seem to matter what you say to them. They're always going to be right. And you're arguing with them or sticking up for yourself or whatever the hell you want to call it. that defensiveness to them is only more proof that they were right all along. And all I can say in that is know thyself, right? I know myself quite well. I know what my intentions are. I know what I mean. I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm saying. I'm not always saying the right thing, but I know what I mean when I say it. And that is never harm. Well, not usually is it harm. Not with people that I'm, friends with or whatever. I don't mean harm. If I say something harmful, it's almost certainly not intentional, right? But the thing is, when someone wants to push an issue and make it seem like you don't even realize what you're doing, but you really know what you're doing, sometimes it's easiest to say, I didn't realize that you felt that way, or whatever. Or sometimes it's best let them go on believing whatever it is that they believe. What does arguing with them to the contrary going to do for you? It's going to make you look defensive. It's going to make you look like you are just arguing to be contrary or whatever. And is it worth arguing over? Sometimes the answer is yes, it is worth arguing over. And sometimes it's just another person believing that they understand your perspective when maybe they just really don't. If it means something to you and you feel like it's important that they know that their perception is not actual reality, then I would say, if you're talking about it right that moment, you feel yourself starting to explain yourself too much, and they get that look on their face, that, that smug look that people get where they're like, this is what I was talking about, and they think you're getting defensive because they're right or whatever. You know that look. Give it a minute. You do not need to have that conversation right that minute. I've got a rule, right? And I've been good. I've been employing this rule for myself. And is that a lot easier said than done sometimes? Yes, it is. But I have to remember my 3 questions that I have to ask myself. And if I cannot answer yes to all 3 questions, I need to proceed with extreme caution. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? And 3, does this need to be said by me right now? And if it does not need to be said, or need to be said by me, or need to be said by me right this minute, sometimes you just don't need to. Give it some breathing room. Give it some space, because if you are starting to come off as defensive, the person's not going to hear what you have to say anyways. So if you start feeling yourself go there, maybe if you don't feel comfortable asking for a change of subject, find a way to change the subject, or ask straight out, can we table this and come back to it? I'm not really sure how to articulate what I'm trying to say. And then that way you're not coming off as defensive, and you're able to come back to the conversation later. Now, I'm no expert, right? I'm just telling you what I'm going to do and what I do that works for me. Something else might work better for you. If you have a suggestion on how, or not just a suggestion, but like advice on how you handle those situations, please put them down in the comments below. I could use any ideas, because sometimes I think my over-explaining myself can be seen as defense. And it's truly not what it's meant to look like, And then, lastly, before I close out, I am incredibly grateful for each and every one of you. Each and every day you keep me sane and sober and laughing and I could not do this without you guys. Thank you to every person who hit the like button, the subscribe button, even if you hit the dislike button. That's okay too. I don't know what you don't like. If you let me know what you don't like, then I can try to fix it. Or if you're just being a jerk and you just want to hit the dislike button, hey, what's up? You do you, boo. All that said, I'm remembering in my own life, and I have to sometimes remind others of the same. Your words matter. Your words matter, and sometimes whether you mean them to be hurtful or not, they are hurtful, and even mine can be hurtful. So I just have to remember to be patient, because not everyone understands everything that there is to know about me. And I can't necessarily give them a 3-minute download of my whole life to help them better understand. So, that all said, you guys are amazing. I hope that you have had a great week. I hope you learned something interesting today. Or if you have already clicked away because you're like, this lady's nutbags, that's okay. I understand. I know I am. Welcome. I'm fully aware of how crazy I sound. That said, you guys, I am so happy to see this beautiful painting coming along. She really looks and tastes amazing. No, I'm not licking glue. Ooh, that also leads me to letting you guys know I'm going to have a little video out about how to fix some glue issues that I was having with this canvas. And maybe it'll be a little quickie tutorial pointer that will help you out of some unsticky situations, because I'll tell you what, I've been having some glue issues, I tell you. As I said, you guys are amazing. I hope you're staying warm out there, because it has been really freaking cold up here in the Midwest, and that I will see you again next week for another WIP and Chat, or for the next video. As ever, you guys, I am so happy you are here. I hope that wherever you are in this great, big, beautiful, wide, wonderful world of ours, that you are having a terrific morning, evening, or afternoon, whatever time it is, wherever you are. And I will see you again soon, okay? Hit that like button on your way out, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.